Before we start Q&A, as always, if there anybody has any questions, raise your hands at any time. I just wanted to note that, as you mentioned, the film premiered last week in New York, the New York Film Festival. This is only the second time the film is screened. So I think she's very curious to hear any comments or questions that anyone has. And I'll lead off by asking, what would it take for him not to perform? Is it possible? Has he ever canceled a show?
During that tour, he canceled. Actually, we had a scene in the movie, just a quick thing backstage, where I asked them when they ever canceled. They canceled twice in the last, I think 3 times in the last 10 years. And one was in, I think, Ireland. It was too sick. It was 104, not 103, I think. So, no, it's just like, it's freezing, you know. He doesn't, this is the job he has because he doesn't have a choice. That's who he is, so, you know. And it, usually the fever kind of goes away on stage a little bit, kind of.
I guess basically, how much did you shoot? How long were you with him on tour? How many hours of footage do you have? And what was it like editing that down into what we see here?
Well, the show was 2 shows, actually. And we didn't know beyond that if we would have a film. If the shows were blown, then it was over. So we did a lot. We had 5 weeks to prepare. So we had a lot to do to keep him comfortable, because there's the whole spooking the horse aspect of it, as if he's uncomfortable or ill. There was actually a previous attempt a couple of years previous that didn't go well, and so they scrapped it. So doing that, getting to that gauntlet was a big deal. So that ended up not just 2 shows, but 36 songs that were viable. And then he took the audio home and listened to it and checked out how he felt about it, and I took all the visual, and that's 5 cameras per song, so do the math, 5 cameras, 36 songs. Figuring which ones are viable there, and then just starting to shape it from there. And then shooting for a while. So that was Milwaukee, we did some Indianapolis stuff, we did farm stuff. We were originally going to shoot up in Minneapolis, and we didn't make it over there, and the next day we're on the phone, and he said, well, I was in the emergency room last night. I was like, oh, we just missed it. So, such a vulture, it's terrible. But that was like towards the end of shooting. We're just like, how is this going to end? Is there going to be an arc that's going to be pretty subtle? Can something happen? We're not going to make something happen. So, and I just thought it was indicative of like, you get tired enough, you get feverish enough, you're going to back into something or fall off the stage or something will happen. So, yeah. So just shaping it that way, and then the big battle was just like the balance of music and story. Like, how do you do that? Can you do that? Should you do that? And even towards the end, is that balanced? Does that matter? I was always of the opinion that a concert capture was kind of a waste of money. They're great. I think they're good for time capsules. They're good to capture the moment, but can you get anything else out of it? So that was the big question mark until maybe 6 weeks ago.
What exactly was his involvement in the film? You mentioned he went back and listened to this song, so obviously he was involved on some level. Yep. Did he look at the footage? Did he have any say on the material? Did he watch the final film?
Oh yeah, he had total and complete say. It was very much a collaborative project, so we talked about what style we looked at. I love Jazz on a Summer's Day, maybe you guys have seen that, and he's a big fan of Woodstock. I love Hard Day's Night. So we looked at lots of different shapes, like we were almost going to do something scripted, we were going to do something, and we watched Hard Day's Night, and we're like, that's a whole ensemble, like you can't even act, so like I think we're not going to do that. We got on our bikes, we're like, we're not doing that, that's fine. And yeah, just trying to figure out like how to do that. So yeah, he watched the footage, even the first day, I don't know if you noticed, but his socks are different from song to song. We actually flipped some people, that's like the new Pee-wee's Big Adventure, like inconsistencies in the movie. If you get it, you get it. So even then, like we were paying attention to the footage, and then several rough cuts, and we did a complete gut rehab of the film a year ago, and finally like landed on it. That's the moment. Some of you or all of you who are artists may know that there's a moment when what you're working on just kind of opens its eyes and tells you what it wants, and that was about a year ago, kind of settled in, and that's when he kind of increasingly stepped away. He's like, look, you're on a roll. He's not psyched about having a movie about the worst year of his life. Like, think about the worst year of the last 10 years of business for you or your job. And then there's a movie of it, like, it's not psyched, you know? That's fine, he's just kind of like, go with that and doing other stuff. So yeah, involved, commissioned it, and now just like doesn't pay attention. Working on a new record, taking a rest, much needed rest. And people always ask right away, like, what's wrong with him? Nothing, he's fine, everything's great. No, it's true, like, he's not sick, he's good.
Other questions? Yeah.
What kind of cameras did you film on?
Oh, I like this question. What kind of cameras? You want to get technical?
Yeah.
Okay, great. The cameras are on Panasonic 900s to tape, except for the balcony, which was an EX32 card. Then the concert, not the concert, the documentary footage, what does it look like to you?
Looks like a DSLR.
It's a 5D, right there. Super economical, we're a scrappy bunch of kids. This costs almost no money to make, so. Also with Andrew, like bringing lots of big cameras in and craft services and lots of people is never going to be a good idea. So having a camera that's this big and we put a lav on him, like a mic, and then I'd usually have like a boom pole in my armpit, and then we'd get talking. So like that's as fancy as it got. The concert we went deluxe. We had a guy come down from Minneapolis who's recording him anytime, records low regularly. He did a full channel, 20-something channel thing of that. What else did we shoot it on? That's it.
Yep.
Will there be a soundtrack?
No. The soundtrack is the show. I mean, you can go see him. He'll start touring again at the beginning of the year and have at it. Because that way it'll never be the same, which is kind of the point. But yeah, lots of people have asked, and not that I'm aware of. Maybe we just finished it. Like we just finished. I sat down to play the noodles on August 26th and was like, what just happened to me, man? So we'll get there. And Andrew's finishing a new record, so like everybody's jamming. Hope so. It sounds good, I think. So.
Does he have anything in particular against the live album?
No, he releases the Fingerling series, so those are all live. He does it regularly, so no, I don't think so. Hi.
Can you get him to come here?
To Vancouver?
Yeah.
Yes.
When's the last time we saw him play here?
I've never seen him play here.
He played here.
September of '08 was the last time he was here. He'll probably come back next year. Yeah, he'll be back next year.
Thanks.
You know, write to his people, write to Andrea. She's actually very responsive. You can beg enough and she'll pay attention. Yeah.
Where's the film gonna play? Like, where can you see it after this?
After this, thanks for asking. So is it just at New York Film Festival where we were Vancouver? Next week, Chicago. Those shows are sold out, but if you want to go, I'll give you a ticket. And then we go to Denver, Copenhagen, St. Louis, and then lots of other places pending. We're trying to show it probably in over the course of 2 years, probably 3 times in each city, 2 or 3 times in each city. So, but it's festivals only, so encourage your friends to see it on the big screen.
So you're not gonna have it online afterwards, or?
No,
Okay.
no plans to release it online or as DVD. So,
Why is that?
tech waste. No, you know, Andrew's a big fan, as am I, of the communal experience. We worked really hard on the sound, so if you do watch it online, please at least put headphones on. Like, everybody worked their asses off on that, so. Also, Andrew is very reluctant to commodify it. He's just like, what kind of jerk charges people to watch a movie with them? So, you know, like, in a beautiful way, like the festival thing, like festivals are almost all inherently nonprofits. So the idea that like, if you go see this in a theater, in a screen that's bigger than your body, which I really think is a beautiful thing, you're actually just supporting a really great nonprofit in your town. Do it. Woo! So noble. No, it's not noble at all, but just see it on big screen. Or just wear headphones, please, I beg you. We worked really hard. Any other question?
Sounds and looks amazing.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
That means a lot.
There's one in the back.
Okay, question in the back.
The gramophone speaker-looking things,
Mhm.
what was their function?
So the gramophone speaker-looking things, those actually all have sound come through them. So the Leslie, the one that spins, the Janus horn, that actually throws sound, which I don't know if this room is this around? I couldn't tell. I may have been napping a little bit. But usually in a really good theater, you can hear that bounce against the walls. So they actually have a function, those little horns, little and big horns. And they're all handmade, like every single little bit is made by Ian. Remember the part where the horn falls and that kid with the hat runs after it? He helped build them, so you just saw his life pass away. Yeah. Other cues. If we say that's it, then 3 more hands will pop up. And
How much of the tour did you go on?
not a lot. You know, this was a 2009 tour, and about midsummer, I was advising him on a project about like this. He just like realized that the summer was half over. In October, they were gonna have their final shows together, him and the band. He just didn't know when they were gonna play together again. He really did know that he was gonna evolve. Like this is very much a time capsule of the last 10 years of his life, and his life has changed immensely since then. So we joined on summer and fall, and then a little bit into the spring. And so movie magic-wise, we could have been following him all year, but we didn't. Yeah. So we shot a lot. The big joke between Aaron, the documentary cinematographer, and I is that I would always call him and be like, I think I just have one last thing. And then we'd shoot it, and I'd be like, all right, that was the last one. We go up for taco whiskey. He'd be like, we're done. Then we go shoot again. Or find out where the boys were and if we needed it. The big joke lately is that I just needed a curtain rise. We didn't shoot a curtain rise in the shows because I didn't want to spook the horse, who showed up very sick, showed up with 102 fever for these shows. So I made the choice to just hang back, not do any back stage stuff in the curtain rise. And we had one that we shot at the Lyric Opera in Chicago, but because of how much money their union wanted, with all due respect, we're just kids, so we couldn't pay it. So I found out where he was doing a show next, and they said, Mexico City. And I was like, well, there'll be a curtain rise, and they're like, we'll get back to you. And then Andrea called me back, she was like, yeah, curtain rise in 2 days. So Facebook, for what it is these days, you know, everybody's hating on it. But I put out an APB for Shooter in Mexico City, and we get those 2 shots, boom, 2 days later, so you do what you have to do. So you see, Yana Luis Gonzalez Marin is credited for additional camera, and she threw it down. So, hi.
What's next for you? Any more projects on the
Thank
horizon?
you for asking. Before I started this film, I started a new film that I'm shooting now, actually, shot last week for. I should be done in about 2 years. It's called Mormons Make Movies, and it's about the Mormon film industry. And it's gonna be cuckoo. Because it's inspired by 2 films that my mom starred in when she was a student at BYU in the 1960s when they formed a motion picture studio there. So there are 2 films that she's in that are even physically very different. One's black and white, one's color. One's a cautionary tale about marriage. There's a car crash in it. She dies and floats into the mist. It's like a really great B-movie. And then there's another one she's in that's in black and white. It's like a Western that takes place in the Mormon colonies in Mexico in 1915, which my father would eventually grow up in, those colonies. So just following the themes of those films and the motion picture studio, and then all the reasons why I left the religion 15 years ago. So it's going to be light. It's going to be really easy to make. There's never any crying when we shoot. So thanks for asking. I'm also developing a series that's an online series. It's going to be for TV, and then I consult and shoot for other people. You stay busy. Other cues? Happy Thanksgiving to your people, and have a nice night.